Good morning, everyone. I am Liu Ewan, and my metric number is BT23301102004. Today, I will be comparing the relative frequency and cumulative relative frequency for both the customer satisfaction score and customer retention rate. First, let's look at the relative frequency. For customer satisfactions, we see that the higher relative frequency is in the 85 to 90% range with 30% customer. And the second highest is in the 80 to 85% range at 23.3%. This tells us that most customers are highly satisfied. When we look at the customer retentions, the higher relative frequency is in the 70 to 75% range at 26.7%. Unlike satisfactions, retention is spread more eventually across different ranges with no one range standing out significantly. Next, let's move the cumulative relative frequency. For customer satisfactions, the cumulative relative frequency increased quickly, reaching 100% by the 90 to 95 range. This steep increase shows that most customers are clustered in the higher satisfaction categories. For customer retentions, the increase is more gradual. The cumulative relative frequency rises steadily, indicating that retention is more spread out with no sharp spikes. That's all from me. Let's move on to the next presenter.
Hello, I am Venus Wong Sejun with the matrix number of BB233110107. Now I will be presenting a comparison between two key metrics, customer satisfaction score and customer retention rate across 30 companies. We will focus on three central tendency measures, mean, median, and mode, to better understand overall trends. The mean is the average. To calculate it, I add up all the values. For satisfaction, the total is 2,527. And since we have 30 companies, so we use 2,527 divided by 30. And the answer is equal to 84.23%. For retention, it's 2,222 divided by 30 values, and the answer will be 74.07%. The median is the middle value when the numbers are arranged in order. Since we have 30 values, we take the average of the 15th and 16th scores. For satisfaction, those are both 85%, so the median is 85%. For retention, it also has the same value, so the median is 74%. The mode is the most frequent value. Satisfaction has two common scores, 85% and 88%, so it's multimodal. Retention is also multimodal with 68% and 80%, appearing most often. In conclusion, customer satisfaction scores are generally higher than retention rates. The average satisfaction is 84.23%, while average retention is 74.07%. The data shows that while customers are happy, companies may need to work more on retaining them. This analysis helps businesses see where to focus, maintaining satisfaction while improving loyalty. In this case, the mean is the best measure of central location, because we are working with a full dataset of 30 values without extremes or outliers. The mean gives us a balanced view of the overall performance across all companies. However, if the data have extreme highs or lows, the median would be more reliable. Since it's not affected by those extremes, the mode is useful to know the most common values, but it's not always a good overall summary on its own. That's all from me. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Mayra Tatiana Morris IM. My metric number is BB23161044, and I did part 3, which is to calculate percentiles and to construct box plot for each of the two key metrics. So for the customer satisfaction score, for the first quarter, which is the 25th percentile, it is 79.75%, and for the second quarter, it's 85%. Finally, For the third quarter, it is 89.25%. So that means 25% of customers scored below 79.75, 50% of the customers scored below 85%, and 75% of the customers scored below 89.25%. So in the box plot here, the left edge of the box is the first quarter, which is 79.75, and the middle line, which is the median, is 85%, and on the right edge of the box is the third quarter, which is 89.25%. Um, we, we also calculated the interquartile range, the IQR, which is the third quarter minus the first quarter, which brings us to 9.5%. This tells us how to spread out the middle 50% of scores are. A smaller IQR means scores are more consistent, while a larger IQR means that they vary more. Using the IQR, we also check for outliers, which are basically values that are lower than 65.5 or higher than 103.25. But in this case, all the scores are within that range, and therefore there are no outliers. So for the customer retention rate, the first quarter is calculated to be 68%, followed by the median, which is the second quarter at 74%, and the third quarter at 80%. This means that 25% of the customers had retention rates below 68%, half were below 74%, and 75% were below 80%. In the box plot, the left edge of the box is the first quarter at 68%. The line inside the box represents the median or the second quarter at 74%, and the right edge of the box is the third quarter at 80%. The whiskers show the full range of scores from the minimum of 60% to the maximum at 88%. The IQR, also known as the interquartile range, is the third quarter minus the first quarter. It's 80% minus 68, where we get 12%. This tells us how spread out the middle 50% of satisfaction of retention rates are. Sorry. And a smaller IQR means customers give similar scores. Meanwhile, a larger IQR shows more variation. So in this box plot, there are no outliers as all the scores are between 60% and 88%. So in conclusion, this shows that most customers have retention rates between 68% and 80%, and overall the responses are fairly consistent and high. So that's it for my part. Thank you so much.
Hello everyone, my name is Eden Ng Kim Yung and my metric number is BB2330301. In this presentation, I will be discussing part 4, which involves calculating and comparing the measures of dispersion between two key metrics, customer satisfaction score and customer retention rate, based on data collected from 30 local businesses. Let's begin with the range, which is the simplest measure of dispersion. It tells us the difference between the highest and lowest values in the dataset. For customer satisfaction score, the range is from 70% to 93%, giving a spread of 23 percentage points. Meanwhile, customer retention rate ranges from 60% to 88%, resulting in a wider spread of 28 percentage points. This indicates that retention performance is more variable across businesses compared to satisfaction score. Next, we look at the mean absolute deviation or MAD. MAD measures the average distance between each data point and the mean, providing insights into consistency. The MAD for customer satisfaction score is approximately 4.88, while for customer retention rate it is 5.74. This means that on average, retention scores deviate more from the mean than satisfaction scores do, again reinforcing that retention is more inconsistent across companies. Moving on, we have variance and standard deviation, which are more precise statistical tools to measure spread. The variance for satisfaction score is 35.98%, while for the retention rate, it's higher at 49.17%. Similarly, the standard deviation for satisfaction score is 6%, while retention rate has a higher value of 7.01%. These values tells us the same story. Customer retention rates fluctuate more than satisfaction score across the sample. Lastly, we consider the coefficient of variation, or CV, which expresses the standard deviation as a percentage of the mean. This is especially useful when comparing the variability of datasets with different units or scales. The CV from satisfaction score is about 0.07, while for CV for retention rate is higher at 0.09. This clearly shows that even when adjusting for differences in the means, customer retention rate is still more variable than customer satisfaction score. That's all from me. Thank you.
My name is Liang and my metric number is BT23303 and 5. I will be presenting part 5 of our analysis, calculating and interpreting measure of association between two key metrics, customer satisfaction score and customer retention rate. Let's start with covariance. Covariance helps us understand the direction of the relationship between two variables. Using the formula provided, we calculate a covariance value of 39.81%. This positive value indicates a positive linear relationship. In simple terms, when customer satisfaction increases, customer retention tends to increase as well. Next, we calculate the correlation coefficient. Unlike covariance, the correlation coefficient measures the direction and strength of a relationship. Using the formula shown, we calculate the correlation coefficient to be 0.95. This shows that there is a very strong positive relationship between customer satisfaction and customer retention. This means that companies with higher satisfaction scores are more likely to retain customers. In summary, both the covariance and correlation coefficients emphasize the same point. There is a strong positive correlation between customer satisfaction and customer retention. Therefore, improving customer satisfaction is a key strategy to increase customer loyalty and retention. That is all from me. Thank you.